So, I know it's not traditional for the best man to speak about the bride, but he has been like a little sister to me. I've known her since she was almost 5 years old. Stubborn little girl who refused to eat her dinner the whole night just for the sake of a biscuit before her dinner. She is caring and thoughtful and a beautiful young lady now. She's the best auntie to my 2 kids and I couldn't wish for any better. I'm so happy you found your soulmate in Billy and I wish you all the happiness in the world and love you so much.
There comes a moment in everyone's life when they meet their one true love, their soulmate, the person they're going to love and grow with for the rest of their life. That moment come for Billy 13 years ago when he met me. I was going to write, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Andrew, Billy's other best man, but I'm sure you all know me as the one that didn't jump. I would like to thank you all for coming. It's amazing to see so many of you here that have travelled so far just for a free meal. Now I'd like to raise a toast to congratulate the Maid of Honour on organising, by the looks of the pictures, such a great hen party. I'm sure Yaz is still recovering from the hen party now, 48 hours of pure drinking. I'm sure you all agree how beautiful Lauren looks today. And with Lauren Maid of Honour, we can keep up with the old tradition of one of the best men sleeping with one of the bridal party after the party. So Lauren, I'm in with you tonight.
Let me know good choice. As most of you know, I've known Billy for a very long time. We're practically like brothers. There is some inappropriate comments that should have been in this speech, but I'm not going to say into that.
I'd also like to thank Billy and Joe for defaulting on their best man duties. They were like little brothers to me while they were growing up. I even used to be their personal barber dinner boys. In fact, I've cut all the Cox's hair at one point. Obviously not Jason's. I'll never forget the first time I met Billy. We was at the cinema and one of our friends said, "Can I bring Billy along?" We were sat in our seat when Billy turned up, looking like an extra out of the football factory. He had the full tracksuit on, baseball cap and a fistful of sovereign rings and a Chinese taker box full to the brim. I was thinking, who the hell is this bloke?
If we were to write a speech about the bloke who we thought stood in front of us today, it would be how not to offend the most amount of people in the room. So we tell some stories like...
Everyone remember the night he went night fishing with Craig Welling?
And eating the yellow urinal cubes.
Cambridge bikes.
The Made in America.
Throwing a cat over a fence.
Heating up a pizza in a hotel room with an iron at 3 a.m.
And, excuse me, you've got mayo around your mouth.
But we're not going to tell any stories like this, but if you want to hear them, you can come and see us at the bar later tonight.
But these will only confirm you should never judge a book by its cover. Yeah, it can be a wronger now and again, and one of these examples that I can show, it was the first night we went out. We was at the pub, and we decided to go for a curry. So we started walking down the road, and we needed a wee. So, found a fence, started weeing up the fence, doing what all boys do, see how high we could get. When Billy turns to me and says, "Hood, I bet you a score I can get mine over the fence." I looked and I thought, we're only about halfway up, there's no way he's getting it over there. So I said, I'm going to take his money. Go on, Bill, you're on. So Bill proceeded to wee into the air, catch it in his mouth and spit it over the fence. There you go, mate, there's your 20 quid.
Now there's not a lot you can beat Billy at Hood. If you can jump down 5 stairs, he won't just go for 6. He will go head first down the full flight, as we've seen him do before at your house. I think he even woke up naked in the bath the next morning because it was too hot for him to sleep.
And this is probably why, when telling me his story about being chased by the police, he come face to face with a squad car down the alley. He didn't know what to do. So he dropped the shoulder, run up the bonnet, over the roof, back down the bottom, and ran straight back to the fields to all his mates. When he got there, all his mates picked him up and started cheering, "Billy is our leader, Billy is our leader, na 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 na." I believed every minute of that story, but I'm not sure how true it was.
But one story we know is true about Billy was he was at a local BP garage when a guy in the forecourt, a guy in a BMW leaning out the window, called him over. "Hey mate, do you want to buy some designer watches?" Bill was like, first, no thanks mate. But he persuaded Billy to come over and look at a magazine. There were these designer watches found in a Men's Health magazine. They were leftovers from a sale event at BMW. It was the guy's last day, and he said to Bill, "It's your lucky day, mate. You can have one for 50 quid." As he just needed to get rid of them. Bill checked his wallet, and he only had 20 quid. The bloke was like, "Mate, jump in. I'll take you to the cash point and get some money out, and you can have one." So Bill being Bill, jumped in, went to the cash point, withdrew 100 quid. He started talking to Bill about his making friends with him and talking to him about his QPR tattoo.
I'm sure you've heard all about QPR's top boy, who's lost Bill many a nights out, only to find him lost in the toilets with his trousers round his ankles.
Obviously showing everyone his QPR tattoo. Anyway, Bill got the £100 out of the wall, bought himself a watch. And then the guy turned around and said to him, "You can buy one, get one free." So Bill being Bill, thinking, what a bargain, I'm getting another 2 watches out of this, give him another 50 quid. As the guy proceeds to drive away, the guy shouts out, "Bill, it must be your lucky day. You can have one more watch for 20 quid. Knowing he still had that score in his wallet from earlier. Bill was chasing him down the forecourt, throwing his money through the car window. The following weekend, Bill took the 4 watches down to the jewellers to get them valued, only to find out they were plastic replicas.
You don't know about that?
I lost my wallet, that's where the money went. You should have lost the fucking 4 watches.
Kev mentioned running in that anecdote, and when Bill was a young lad, he was good at running, strong, fit, and this is probably why he wanted to join the army. He got all the application forms and completed them, and he was lucky enough to get an interview one morning where he had to go to the hospital to do loads of trials, endurance and strength tests. These were at the hospital that all the cadets go to. So Bill got up early one morning in the dark and pissing rain to catch the train. When he arrived and got off the train, he started to struggle with the directions that the guy that he'd been speaking to had given him. So Bill asked the stranger, "Where's the nearest hospital, mate?" And he just told him to piss off. He managed to find the nearest hospital, and there were some cadets outside, so he thought, this must be the place, and went in and said, "Billy Cox." They checked the register, but there was no one down by that name. So he went outside and called the bloke and explained what had happened. The guy was so confused he couldn't work out what was going on, so he said, "I'll call and make some calls, and I'll come back to you." Bill agreed and said, "Alright, I'll go and wait by the pub next door." "Wait," the guy said. "What pub?" "The Jolly Sailor." "Bill, what hospital are you at?" "Farnham Hospital, like you said." "No," I said, "Farnborough Hospital." Needless to say, Billy never made it to the army.
Now, does anyone know if Bill can still run, as it goes with the amount of injuries and illnesses he's had? The worst of it come when he was working in London and had to leave work because of the pain was so bad in his side. He somehow managed to make it onto the train, practically crawling on, with his face as white as a ghost. He got to the station at the other end and jumped into a taxi and asked the taxi driver to take him to Barnet General. But, not to worry the driver, Bill told him he was visiting a friend.
Now this is the real Billy, concerned for others. Only last month we were at the petrol station when he was filling up, a guy behind shouted out, "Can you ask the person in the shop to come out and fill up for me because I'm disabled?" So when Bill went into the shop, he said, "Can you go out and help?" And the lady said, "No, I'm on my own. I can't leave the shop." So what did Billy do? He went out, explained this to the guy, and filled up for the disabled guy.
Now, there's not a lot Billy gets embarrassed about. We were all around our friend Danny's house, watching the boxing one night, and a few of Danny's friends who we'd never met before were there.
To give you an idea of how the room was laid out, there was an L-shaped sofa like this, and me and Billy were sat here, and Chris was sat at the end, and we was watching the boxing on the TV. When Billy decided to get up and go and get a beer from the kitchen, a minute later, Chris got up and went to the toilet. In that time, one of Danny's friends that we'd never met before come in and sat down where Chris had been sat, next to his mates. When Billy returned with his beer, he decided to walk back into the room backwards. With his arse no less than a couple of inches away from Chris's head, he lets out this massive fart. And he turns and looks down and sees the stranger just looking up at him. And all he can say is, "Thanks, mate."
As we said, Bill don't get embarrassed by much, but what he does is get very, very nervous. We hope we haven't stitched you up too much, mate. I hope we've done you proud.
It's been a real honour being asked to be Billy's best man. I've known him for over 13 years, and we've had some brilliant laughs, great trips away, and even better nights out. And some sad and teary times too, but that's mainly Bill crying at DIY SOS. My last one. I wish you both the best now and forever. As you go through life, always respect each other, love each other, and be there for each other. Never forget to say sorry when you've messed up, and never go to bed angry. I love you both. To the bride and groom.
Well done, boys.
Bill, it's been an honour being the best man. We've been like brothers. We've shared some hilarious moments and some very sad ones, like the day you lost your brand new sunglasses. But in all seriousness, I hope we've done you proud. I wish you both all the happiness in the world. I love you both to bits.
Well done, boys.
Brought Jason to tears.